get going, if I come onto my mat, so if you have a mat, coming onto yours, but if you don't have a mat, obviously just a bit of space around you, and just knowing that this space that you've come to is where you've decided to be with yourself for the next half an hour or so. So coming to stand, so feet sort of hip width apart, and when I say hip width, that's usually outside edges of the hips, sort of use the term in line, but you know, it's not set in stone. Outside edges of the knees, outside edges of the feet. So that just kind of gives you a stable base. And it's really important that we do find this stable base, because it's from stability or from connection to something that's solid, sort of continuous, something that can allow us to feel grounded, that perception arises from, and that's what gives us a sense of safety. So feeling the ground beneath your feet. And if it's okay, just placing one hand on your chest, one hand perhaps sort of on the belly or a little bit higher, it feels comfortable for you. And allow the elbows and allow the shoulders just to rest. So if you're not sure what that means, draw the shoulders up so you can feel the neck compress. Breathe in, and then as you breathe out, just let go of the breath, let go of the shoulders, and just settle. Let the breath come in again, but you don't have to move your shoulders. Let the breath leave and you don't have to do anything. So that constant feeling and that connection to something inside you, your breathing, that happens anyway. And you don't have to do it, but it's there with you all the time. And yoga brings us to that connection, not only to what's going on around us, but what's happening on the inside. So we're going to start with some balances. So if it's okay, just breathing as you do, just take your arms a little bit wider. Focus your gaze, and we're just going to lift up the right heel. Now you're going to feel the weight sink down into the left foot, and that's fine. You don't have to push into the left foot, you don't have to do anything. You can still bend the left knee. The weight just transfers through your body because your body is clever and intelligent enough. And ever so carefully, if possible, we're going to lift up the right foot. Keep your gaze focused, and then we're just going to take the right leg out to the right. And just hold for a few moments, being aware of your breath, and if you start to shake, being aware that you're starting to shake, but breathing. Then ever so carefully bring the right leg back and let it replace back onto the floor, so you re-find that sense of equality, or finding balance, equal balance between both feet, or equal weight between both feet. We're going to go on the other side, so we're going to take the arms wide, and that's just for balance. So you're not stretching, you're not doing anything like that. The weight of the arms is heavy, so allow the weight of the arms to be felt, because that's part of the experience of now. So we're not trying to change anything, we're trying to wake ourselves up to feel. And then we're going to ever so carefully lift up the left heel, and you're going to feel the weight rest down into the right foot, through the right leg. Then only if it feels okay for you, you can lift up the left foot and take the left leg out to the left, and feel your breath as it comes in, and feel your breath as it leaves. And then see if you can just allow yourself to feel the sensations in that left leg and in the right leg. Then carefully lower the leg, lower the arms, readdress the balance into the feet, so you can rock from side to side. You can allow the weight of the feet to be as equal as possible, but it's very rare that we have equal weight in both feet. We'll always favour one side. And yoga just allows us to notice and know that it's okay. So that's how we cultivate a sense of kindness to ourselves. You don't beat yourself up because one foot feels heavier than the other. So then take the arms out a little bit again, being aware of your breath. Lift up the right heel. If possible, you lift up the right foot, but obviously if it's not possible, you decide to stay as you are and take the right leg out to the right. And maybe, can you lift the leg a little bit higher? And if you feel yourself swaying over towards the left, that's okay. Can you bring yourself back? Can you point the toes? Can you come out of it? And then you just readdress the weight between the feet. Rebalance the weight. When you're ready, take the arms out, but you're not stretching. You don't need to stretch. We bring up the left heel. We bring up, if possible, the left knee. You take the left leg out to the side. If possible, you take the leg a little bit higher. If possible, you take the arms up. If possible, you bring the left leg forward. If possible, you lower. So there's always that idea that there is perhaps possibilities, and we never get to a stage where we've done enough. There's always more. So circle the shoulders and just relax. Soften your knees. And then this time we're going to again allow the right heel to lift. You're going to feel the weight go down into the left. You don't have to do anything, you're just going to feel that. You're going to allow the left hip to pop out to the left. And then we're going to draw the hips back so they're more or less in line. So the left hip is over the left knee, the right hip is above the right knee. And then this time, again, we're going to take the arms out, we're going to bring the right knee up. And we're going to see if we can draw the right leg in front of the left knee and then out to the side. So you're just kind of circling the right leg around. Focus your gaze and make sure you're breathing. Focus the gaze and make sure you're breathing. And then carefully come to centre, lower the right leg, lower the arms. Come back to a place of stability. So we can come away from feeling quite grounded or stable, but we can come back towards it as well. So we know it's just a journey, it's just a process. Focus the gaze, we're going to lift up the left heel. You can feel the weight go down into the right foot. So all we're trying to do is train our attention to notice what's happening to our body. So we're not trying to block anything, we're trying to raise awareness, to be attentive. You can take the arms out if that feels nice for you, or you can let the hands come to rest on the centre of the spine, or you can let the hands come onto the top of the head. It doesn't matter because your centre of balance is inside the spine. And when you're ready, lift up the left knee, if possible, and just start to circle the knee. And you'll notice it's easier if the arms are out wide. So you can experiment, you can take the arms wide, you can take the arms up, you can take the hands to rest on the centre of the spine, you can take the hands to rest behind you, you can take the arms on the top of the head. So you're just changing, I suppose, focus of your attention. And then when you're ready, just come back to centre, replace the foot, allow yourself to balance. So we're going to go into tree pose or Vakasana. So focus the gaze. We're going to lift up the right heel. And this time, we're going to turn the right knee out to the right. So if you place your hands on the hips, bring the right knee forward again. So both hips are facing forward, both knees are facing forward. So you have a sense of what you're doing with your body. Yoga is about uniting, bringing together what's happening with your thoughts, with your body, and something deeper. And it's so your body is just the gateway, it's just the beginning. So we know now the hips are facing forward, the knees are facing forward. Carefully, when you take the right knee out to the right hip turns out to the right, but the left hip stays facing forward. If the left hip has gone out to the side, can you bring it back? If the left hip has gone forward, can you bring it back? So the left hip is over the left knee, is over the left heel. Take the arms wide and just see, is there a possibility of drawing the right knee a little bit higher, placing the right foot a little bit higher, either to above the knee or below the knee, or back onto the floor. And then lower the arms and come out. Equalise the weight between the feet, so you go back to where you started. So we always know that there's a possibility of beginning again. We never reach somewhere and then forget where we've gone before. We can learn from it, but not kind of be caught by it. And then when you're ready, you focus the gaze. We bring up the left heel, so we know that the hips are facing forward. So when we open that left knee or that left hip out to the left, the right hip stays just as it is, if possible. The right hip stays just as it is. So now imagine that left knee is heavy. Because it is heavy, let the left knee be heavy and it can pull you down. Now imagine someone's underneath you, drawing the knee in towards the hip, and that can bring you up. And if you place your hands on the top of the head, from inside underneath the ribs, imagine that connection, the upper part of the spine to the top of the head. Let the head be heavy. Let the weight of the ribs push down into that standing foot. So you collapse slightly, you compress. You'll shrink, you can allow yourself to shrink. The right hip will pop out. Now, we draw up from inside underneath the ribs to the top of the head. We use all those postural muscles to lift the spine, especially if you've been sitting, working on laptops or computers all day long. we lose that sense of coming up away from, and we draw ourselves down towards the floor. Gravity pushes us down. Yoga gives us a chance to re-find our length. So now imagine that left knee can be drawn towards the left hip towards the centre of the spine, and that's what brings the heel a little bit higher, either to below the knee or above the knee. And if you like, you can use your hand. If you like, you can use a hand to ease the heel a little bit higher, or it can stay below and then come out. And we're going to go one more time. So the aim of the position or asana isn't to make a shape, not the way that I practice or teach. We're not worried about making shapes because, well, my dogs make shapes. My dogs do a lovely down dog. So when we come in to do shapes, or when we come in to do asanas, it's not about the shape, it's about the feeling that we experience. So maybe take the hands to rest on the base of the ribs, and we can draw the right heel up. Now imagine that right knee connecting all the way up through the hip to the centre of the spine. Relax the shoulders. So when we lift that knee, that right knee, imagine the spine coming up away from that knee. So the collarbones are coming up as far, far away from that knee as possible. So when we open the knee out to the right, we're still feeling that sense of coming up through the spine. When the foot finds the thigh or the lower below the knee or above the knee or still stays on the foot's spine, the arms come up away from. So you're coming away from the floor. And you can feel your breath. You relax the arms back into the shoulders and you breathe. And then you come out when you're ready. And it's not about holding, it's about pausing, and it's about feeling. So rebalance, readdress the weight between the feet, relax the shoulders. And let's start with the hands on the top of the head, and we just kind of go over that idea of coming up away from the floor. So if you allow the weight of the head to be heavy, if I turn, so you can kind of shrink down towards the floor. So you can lose a couple of inches if you like, just by compressing and just kind of pushing the hips out, shrinking through the shoulders. So now if you place one hand on the base of the ribs, one hand on the top of the head, from inside underneath the ribs, right through to the top of the head, grow. So obviously you can't be taller than you are, but you certainly don't want to be shorter than you are. You want to refine the length of the spine, because that's what makes us feel so open, that makes us feel so wonderful, is to have that sense of length. So now if we lift up the left heel, imagine that left heel can be drawn all the way up through the spine to the top of the head. That can take the arms up, away from the heel. So when you lift the left knee, there's that feeling of coming up, up, up through the spine. When you open the knee, there's still that feeling of up through the spine. And when you place the foot, there's still that feeling of coming up through the spine. The arms can go wide if you like for balance, and you can just see where you are, and you come out when you're ready. Is it beautiful? And then when you come out, allow the feet to find their place on the floor, and just revisit where we started. Maybe place one hand on the chest, one hand on the belly, and just settle. And now notice how it feels to be connected to the floor. If your thoughts perhaps may have settled just a little bit, because ultimately what gives us rest is the thoughts kind of slowing down a little bit. Being aware of your breath coming in, being aware of your breath leaving. And we're going to come to the floor. So if you place your hands on the thighs, look down towards the floor, round the shoulders, maybe take the hands onto the knees, move one knee forward at a time, so just easing into the back of the body, because we're going to do some seated positions before we come to rest. Just rocking through the knees, and then just take the elbows, so right hand on the left elbow, left hand on the right elbow, and just let the weight of the elbows, the weight of the arms, encourage the spine to lengthen. And you can rock from side to side through the arms, through the upper part of the spine. I quite like this at the moment. So when the right knee moves forward, the upper part of the spine moves towards the left. When the left knee moves forward, you move towards the right, or rock towards the right. Just kind of loosely feeling the connection from below the level of the waist to above. And then when you're ready, just come to centre and just let go of the arms. Now your knees can be quite bent, it's absolutely fine. The fingertips might come to the floor, or they might like to stay on the knees. If you don't like to get your head below the level of the heart, you can be resting on a chair. It's absolutely fine. And then when you're ready, just see, can you walk your hands forward or come down onto your mat anyway, that feels doable for you. And coming into all fours, and just because our hands, you know, our hands are really being worked at the moment, aren't they, with all keyboard and screen time. So if you come onto the knuckles, rather than the wrists, so we're just sort of knuckles, and then just the right hand, if you place not the palm, so palm upwards, just bring the hand, the right palm, so you're on the back of the right hand. Don't push into the hand, but you're just stretching those ligaments there that usually have been tightened up through the day. And then come onto the right knuckle, bring the back of the left hand onto the floor. And then just do that a few times, just alternate sort of easing through the wrists, just kind of working in a way that feels doable for you. And then when you're ready, just stop and bring the palms down and just noticing how they feel. And if one hand feels a little bit more uncomfortable than the other, just kind of easing into it and using the other hand maybe to take a little bit more weight. And then from here, tuck the toes under, and we're going to ease the hips back towards the heels a little bit, so go careful. And then we're going to breathe in, take the top of the head forward a little bit, so you ease into the wrist. Now tuck the toes the other way, and as you breathe out, ease the hips back towards the heels. You're lengthening the fronts of the toes, or the fronts of the parts of the foot. Then as you breathe in, moving forward, tuck the toes under, and as you breathe out, ease back towards the heels, so you're lengthening the soles of the foot. And just if possible, just carry on doing that, finding your breath and finding your own time, and just kind of knowing that when we work into the feet in this way, we're kind of connecting into the ankles and the tendons around there, and also knowing that those tendons and ligaments in the ankles and the feet, those muscles connect all the way up through the calves to the knees and into the hips. So any tightness in your feet or your toes will really affect the rest of your body. Everything in your body is connected, from the thought processes to the nervous system, to the breath, to the digestion, to the muscles. And then when you're ready, just come to centre and just sort of wiggle the toes, wiggle the feet a little bit. And then we're going to bring the right knee forward, and then we're going to bring it back. We're going to bring the left knee forward, and then we're going to bring it back. Just carry on, just moving one knee forward at a time. Then if it's okay, bringing the right knee forward. See if you can lift the knee, so being careful with your knees at all times. Now if it feels okay, can you bring your hip down or your buttock down towards the right heel? Can you tuck the left toes under? Can you lift the left knee? Can you push the left heel away? Can you relax the heel? And then just work the left foot, the back foot in a little bit closer. Come up onto the knuckles, and perhaps you can lift the spine. If that's too much for you, perhaps it looks worse, but it's probably easier. You can come down onto your elbows. You're lengthening that thigh, lengthening those muscles in the back of the hip. And then when you're ready, bring in the hands either side of that right knee, and just easing back, ease the hips back towards the heels. You go into a bit of a swan pose or charm pose. And then when you're ready, coming up into all fours again, shake off the wrists, bring the left knee forward. Make sure you can lift the knee up and down, so you don't get into a position that you're stuck in. You always have a get out. And then if it's okay, the left knee comes down, and can the left hip, the left buttock, rest down onto that left heel. Tuck the right toes under, lift the right knee. Push the right heel away, so you feel that length in the front of the right hip. Then stop pushing and let the right knee come down. Imagine the right heel or the right foot can draw a little bit closer in. And maybe you can lift your spine, but don't kind of force it. You might prefer, or you can try, it's fine, to come down onto the elbows. So let the weight of your body be given down to the floor. Let that right hip drop. Let the left hip drop. If it's really uncomfortable, obviously you come out of it whenever you can. Or, when you feel like it, not when you can. And then just bring the knees back and just ease your hips back towards the heels. We're going to go into child's pose. So you can make light fists with your hands and let the head just come onto the fist, or maybe one fist, maybe the forehead comes onto the floor. Wherever you are with this, let the weight of your body be given down. Feel the weight of your head. Notice where you feel your breath in your body, and knowing But when we stop is when benefits take place, when the echoes are felt in your body, when the feelings of rest can be imbued, I suppose, or really be felt, is when benefits take place. And then when you're ready, coming up into all fours, and we're just going to swing round so the legs come in front of you. And then we're just going to have hands either side and just rock from side to side. Come to centre, and then just place your hands, palms of the hands on the knees, and just circle, sort of massage the knees, almost in a sense, you know, we're trying to say sorry perhaps for what we've been doing to our joint. So then when you're ready, stop. Now if you push down into the heels, push down into the heels. Now you're not pushing into the knees, but the weight of the hands kind of counteracts that feeling. You're trying to draw your knees up. You're going down through the heels, but you're trying to draw the knees up. But the hands are weighting down. So then you might feel something in the belly start to lift. You might be able to lift the spine a little bit more. So you're kind of connecting that feeling from the heels through the knees to the hips to the centre of the spine and beyond. Breathe in. And as you breathe out, let go. So if you sink or if you kind of drop down, then you know something's changed. We're going to go back to that in a minute. So first of all, we're just going to take the hands over towards the left. So you rock over towards the left and the right hip will lift, and then draw the right foot in. So roll over onto the outside edge of the right foot to let the right knee drop out. Roll onto the inside of the right foot to bring the knee over towards the left. Just doing that a few times, just kind of connecting into the foot. So we're not just trying to move the hip or the knee or the leg, we're trying to connect every single part of us, because that's how we cultivate awareness, that's how we cultivate attention. So then when you come back to centre, be aware of that foot resting down. Place the hands onto the knee. So if your spine is rounded, it's absolutely fine, just know. So bring the left heel down into the floor, be aware of the right heel down into the floor, to send the right knee forward a little bit to lift the spine. Allow the shoulders to settle, be aware that the crown of the head can go far beyond what you think it can. So the spine is coming up away from the floor. Then we're just going to see if it's possible to take the right hand behind us, and we're going to see if we can turn from inside underneath the ribs, turning towards the right. So you're not trying to get the spine or the chest onto that thigh, we're trying to come up away from as we rotate towards the right. And then we're going to come round and rotate towards the left. So both hands touch, fingertips touch the floor, elbows are wide, shoulders are wide, armpits, a space underneath the armpits, have a real sense of the spine coming up away from the floor. And then if it's possible, lift the right heel, lift the right heel, can lean a little bit more towards the left, bring the right heel closer in towards the right hip. You can use your hand if you like, see if you can bring the knee down. Now don't put weight into the knee, you can bring the knee down, you can lift the knee up. If it feels easy for you, you come over to centre. If it's not easy, you stay leaning over towards the left. If your leg is out kind of like this kind of position, you stay there. If you can draw the heel a little bit closer, you come to centre. And then from there, you send the feet forward. And you just ease from side to side again, and just come back to a balanced central position. Hands can rest on the knees, and once again, actually allow yourself to sink, because you might be sinking anyway. So allow yourself, give yourself permission to sink, to kind of rest down towards the floor, because gravity wants to push us down. So now we're just going to work against that for a little bit to find the postural muscles. So we go down into the heels, really feel that sense of moving down. The weight of the hands rests down into the knees, but underneath the knees, we're going to try to draw up. And that's what may lift your spine, down through the heels, up through the knees, but the hands are in a sense counteracting that feeling of up through the knees, and that's what brings the spine up. And then from here, turn towards the right, upper spine turns towards the right, lean towards the right, draw the left heel in. Rock the left knee from side to side, feel that connection through the feet. As you lean over or the hands lean towards the right, can you lift up the left foot a little bit more? Rock from side to side. So you're moving through the hip. Then when the left foot comes down, and it might be sort of there, if it's too much for you, you just keep the leg long. If it's okay, the left heel comes down. The right hand can rest on top of that left knee. Yeah, left hand, if it's possible, take the left hand on the top of the head. Right, so down through the heels, right heel in front, left heel below, down through the heels, but up through the spine. Down through the heels, but from inside underneath the ribs, turn towards the left. The left hand might come down behind you, or you might find it helpful to keep the hands on top of the head to keep that sense of coming up away from the floor. Make space between the chest and the thigh. Come back to centre, bring the hands towards the right, lean over towards the right to make space in that left hip, lift the left foot, and if possible, draw the left heel towards the left hip. You can use your hand if you like, and bring the left knee down. Make sure you can lift the knee up and down because you don't want to get stuck. Knees are really precious. These movements are really good at mobilising knee joints and encouraging circulation to the knees, but obviously you have to go with care. Now if the foot is out kind of like that, that's as much, you can't do any more than that, then you don't do any more than that. If the heel comes in, you can come to centre and just allow yourself to settle there for a few moments before, when you're ready, take the leg out in front, rock from side to side, hands rest on the knees and allow the weight of your body to rest. Now if it's okay, close your eyes and just imagine now that connection down through the heels, up through the knees, coming up through the spine. So you lift. The sitting bones rest down towards the floor because they're supporting you, but can we find space in the front of the hips and around the chin? And the collarbones are as far, far away from your knees as possible. And then just connect, reconnect to your breath. And then when you're ready, you just come to rest down. So coming down onto the mat, soles of your feet flat to the floor and your knees are bent. And maybe take the hands or the arms on the floor above your head, because that just brings the breath a little bit higher to underneath the collarbones. It's quite interesting. So the elbows are quite wide, fingers just touch above the head. If that's really uncomfortable, just bring your hands back to rest on the base of the ribs. And then just for a few moments, feel your breath inside your body, breathing in, and then let the breath go. Really long out breath, breathing in, and then let your breath go. Really long out breath, breathing in, and as you breathe out, bring the arms down to your side, palms facing up, let the breath go. Let your breath come in, and then when you're ready, breathe out, stop, breathe out, stop, and then let your breath come in. Really filling up the whole of the chest and the whole of the belly. And when you're ready, breathe out, stop, breathe out, stop. And when you breathe in, really breathe into the whole of your body. And maybe just twice more. So just breathing out, stop, breathing out, stop, breathing in. And if it's all right, just do that one more time. Just on the out breath, pause, lengthen, deepen, empty. And then you notice and you're aware that your breath comes in, is life. Your breath is freely given to you. And then what you don't need, you give back. And then you breathe again. And you just come into contact with this cycle, constant ebb and flow of the breath. And you may reach a stage where you don't have to control your breath, you don't have to change it, just to notice. And as you breathe, being aware of your body resting on the floor and this place that you're in, knowing where you are, feeling quite safe, feeling quite secure. And then when you're ready, just taking the arms overhead, stretching the arms away, just preparing yourself to wake up. When the arms come down, you can draw the knees in towards you. You can rock from side to side, opening the eyes if you want to, or you can decide to stay sort of a little bit longer, resting on the floor, just kind of doing whatever feels right for you, till you feel ready just to come to sit up. So just taking your time, being careful, knowing where you are.